This episode is for the memoir writer who is waiting for the right editor to finally make them feel like a, quote, real writer. I get to be honest with you, that's not what editors are for. After years of working with memoir writers, I have learned that there are things I simply cannot do for you, no matter how good I am at my job. And understanding what those things are might be the most important thing that you hear before you hire anyone. So let's go. You are listening to the Memoir Method podcast, the place for writers, readers, and anyone who appreciates the collective power of our stories. In this podcast, we explore the impact of memoir alongside an examination of writing techniques and strategies used in the genre. Whether you are a writer looking for inspiration and guidance or a passionate reader seeking meaningful connections through shared experiences, the Memoir Method podcast is your go-to conversation spot. I'm your host, Charlotte, editor, writer, and the heart behind Charlotte Writes. Let's get started. Before I get into the bulk of today's episode, I wanted to let you know that now through the end of the summer, I'm going to be hosting a podcast review raffle. The best way for people to find this podcast is when listeners like you rate and review on your preferred podcast platform. For everyone who rates and reviews the podcast between now and August 31st, will be entered to win free access to the entire Writer's Workshop series that I delivered in June. All you have to do is rate and review and then fill out the Google form I've linked in the show notes. Thank you so much. I have been nervous to record this episode. Some editors might see this as talking myself out of work, but I don't. I see this episode as both a calling out and a calling in for the writers listening. I do my best work with writers who don't need me in the way that I'm about to talk about. I've seen a pattern repeat with just a couple of clients over the years, and I'm going to outline it for you. I will see writers invest in editorial support and still not feel like a, quote, real writer. They think that the editor, the support, the container is what will finally help them feel, quote, legitimate. But these writers are asking the editorial process to do something it's not actually designed to do. Today's episode is going to go into 3 things that even as your close supportive editor, I cannot do for you. So number 1, I can't make you feel like a writer. I'm going to introduce you to a client I will call Eeyore. Years ago, I worked with a writer who really cared about their story, but would come to every call with a low energy. I'd ask them, how are you feeling about your work this week? And they'd shrug and say, oh, fine. And side note, if you are feeling just fine about your writing, consider that a massive red flag. We get to shake things up if that's how you're feeling. But Eeyore would come to every call saying, oh, it's fine. This writer was never that excited about their draft or their progress. They weren't usually confident about what was actually working and relied on me to highlight what was working in the draft and what wasn't every single time. And let me be clear, in the beginning of an editorial partnership, that is exactly what my job is, to highlight what's working and what's not and give you possibilities for how to revise. But ideally, as we move through our time together, you as the writer start to spot that progress before I need to point it out. It's actually fascinating how my dynamic with you shifts in these editorial containers from tell me what to do and what's working to this is what I'm doing and working on and this is what I need from you. It is such a fun shift, and most of the time it happens. With Eeyore, it didn't. As the editor, I eventually saw that Eeyore over here was needing to continue working with me because they only felt like a real writer when I told them they were doing a good job. It wasn't a feeling or state of being that this writer was willing to generate for themselves. Eventually, we concluded our work together and parted ways professionally. To my knowledge, this writer still hasn't published their memoir, even though they have spent more than a decade working on it and probably thousands of dollars at this point in editorial support. That feeling Eeyore was looking for, it's not something I could ever give them in a sustainable way. That's something that only this person could cultivate for themselves. It's something that only you can create for yourself. Feeling like a real writer can't be reliant on an outcome, and I know that feels backwards. This is the internal belief set that will drive the outcome. If you move in ways you think a real writer will move, then you will finish the draft, find the agent, self-publish the work, find the readers. But if you flip that and wait for the readers, the book deal, the launch date, to feel like a real writer, then you're not likely to finish the draft at all, much less attract the readers, land the book deal, set the launch date. Feeling like a real writer is so much more than receiving compliments on your writing or even completing that draft or publishing the book. Feeling and being a real writer is an accumulation of showing up for your writing consistently, daily, a decision you make over and over to take yourself seriously before anybody else. No editor can make that decision for you. No editor can do the internal work for you. And even if I could, I wouldn't, because I want you to be the person who finishes, who publishes. I want you to be the person who has that conviction that is unshakable. No amount of good feedback will manufacture a conviction that you haven't built for yourself yet. I'm going to contrast Eeyore with a writer that I will call Tigger. Tigger started out our time together with some Eeyore energy. They had been burned by another editor before, and they were not confident in their draft. They didn't know how to revise it or even what to do. There was a lot of discouragement. They thought they might even have to start over from scratch. But as we built out the foundation of their draft and started those active revisions, on our third or fourth call together, something shifted and Tigger's creative energy activated. They came onto our call beaming. I got it. I feel really good about this chapter. Like truly the energy was completely different. This is how the rest of our time flowed. From that point on, Tigger would tackle chapters, we'd workshop them, and then we'd keep moving forward. I could see that Tigger's entire energy and sense of self was shifting. This energy determined both the pace of our work and the progress that they made. Now Tigger is in the process of self-publishing and has a launch date for this fall. And note that Tigger had been working on their memoir probably on a similar time frame to Eeyore. But like I said, Tigger is publishing in just a couple of months. Eeyore, to my knowledge, still has a draft that they are trying to perfect. This leads me to truth number 2. I can't believe in your story more than you do. Let's talk about the progress plateau. So I'll start with an analogy. When you are strength training, you will sometimes reach a plateau. This is when your body composition stalls out. You're not gaining muscle or losing fat. You're putting in work and reps, but you're not seeing change when you still want to be seeing change. When this happens in fitness, it means that you have to shake things up. Add weight, start lifting heavier, change up your program, try tooling with your nutrition. Your body needs a system disrupt to move past that plateau. I also see this in writing. Sometimes what you're doing that used to work stops working for you. In my world, this happens the most when a writer is creatively and emotionally reliant on someone else, usually me. Eeyore was relying on me to believe in their memoir's potential more than they could. I was still doing my best editing, but Eeyore was giving me only so much to work with. The work stalled because the writer stalled. I was asking this writer to stretch themselves in ways that they weren't ready to yet. Any writer who comes into my spaces will know that I ask you hard questions. I will push at tender places, invite you into shadow work as you excavate your life for the thread of your memoir. It's difficult. I'm here for you every step of the way, but it requires a leap of faith on your part. It requires a willingness to both go to hard places and own your own story. It requires you to do work that I can't do for you. I will walk with you. I will help you. I will show you different opportunities and different possibilities for you, but you are the one who has to decide. You are the one who has to have the conviction. I can't do it for you. This part of the work only pans out when you take your story seriously, even more seriously than I do. Because yes, I care about the outcome of your story. I care about you finishing. I want you to finish. It's also not my story. With each and every one of you, I can see half a dozen ways you could tell a story, and I don't have a lot of investment about which route you go. I will support you in whichever route you care to go. I don't have the emotional investment in the outcome that you do. I care about you as a writer. I'm here to support you. But again, I can't care about it more than you do. Yes, I see what's possible in your work. I can see the story underneath the story, point out different through lines and threads. But if you as a writer don't believe that your story is worth telling, if you're waiting for my enthusiasm to do the believing for you, you will plateau. You will stall out. Any suggestion that I make will just kind of float above the work without it landing anywhere permanent. My belief in you is a mirror, not a source. I can reflect back to you what's already there. So if I gush about your work, you are really good at what you do. There's real depth there. But if I gush about that, if I highlight those things to you, but you don't believe in it wholly yet, if you don't actually believe that that's true, you just believe that I see it, then you're going to feel a contraction in your body when you hear me. Your body will tell you that it doesn't believe what I'm saying. And if your body doesn't believe it, that means you don't believe it. And again, we can only go so far if you don't believe it. That's your clue that you have work to do on your creative identity. I cannot create conviction for you from scratch. I can meet you in hard places, in shadow. I can walk with you and show you your field of possibilities. But you are the one who makes the final decisions. You are the one who has to have the deepest, most unshakable conviction in your story. And when you do, that's when I can do my best work on your writing and with you as the writer. When a writer comes in already believing, already committed to the idea that their story matters and that they're the right person to tell it, the editorial work is electric. Everything I point to, you can receive and act on. You can tell me which suggestions of mine aren't landing and why. Then we can pivot together. The work progresses. We move beyond the plateau. When our dynamic can shift from me leading you, which is, again, almost always where I start with my writers. That's a fantastic place to start. But when it can shift from that to you taking charge and using me as rocket fuel, that's always a shift I want to see in our partnership. And finally, truth number 3. I cannot integrate the writing into your life for you. Being a writer is an identity. It's something you are just as much as something that you do. You will often hear me say that your writing life is part of your regular life. And usually I say that to assuage guilt at not having written for a while. But right now, I want you to see how the way that you integrate writing into your daily rhythms is something that deeply matters to your creative output. Being a writer requires you to make both macro and micro adjustments to your daily rhythms. I cannot implement that for you. It's essential work, and it's something that only you can follow through on. I'm talking about things like daily free writing, morning pages if you've gone through the artist way, protecting writing windows from appointments or lunch dates. When are you willing to say no to something so that you can say yes to your writing? Do you have actual non-negotiables for your creative practice? Or are you waiting for your external conditions to be ideal for you to take your writing process seriously? Do you see how connected everything is? Whenever we rely on something external to make us feel a certain way, we will be disappointed and we will not get where we say we want to go. If you are not making those macro and micro adjustments regularly, that is where doubt and imposter syndrome thrive and persist, regardless of the strength of your editorial feedback. The internal signal, the one telling you that your writing is real, serious, and worth your time, only comes from being the person who takes their writing seriously enough to integrate it into your regular life. Quick recap. 3 things that I cannot do for you, what an editor can't do for you. I can't make you feel like a writer. I can't believe in your story more than you do, and I can't integrate the writing into your life for you. So here's what editors are actually for. An editor will meet you where you are, wherever you are, and help you go further than you could go alone. I can see what you can't see, push where you need pushing, name what's working and what isn't with trained eyes. That's powerful and it's worth investing in. Finding the right support is a superpower when it comes to your creative life. You cannot create something in a vacuum. You need support, so find the right support, because the right support will meet you where you are and get you further than you would be able to go on your own. This only really works, though, when you, as the writer, are already moving. An editor, in the stages that I work in, I primarily do developmental editing. I produce the best results with you when we are collaborators, when I can be an amplifier of your energy and conviction and not a substitute for the internal work that will make your writing sustainable. Writers who get the most out of our work are the ones who have either done deep identity work already or the ones who are willing to challenge their self-concept and level up their inner work. The writers who skyrocket in my world are the ones who believe for themselves that their story matters. These are the writers who make room for the writing in their actual lives and are ready to be stretched and challenged rather than propped up. This internal work is exactly what my writer's workshop tackles. If anything in this episode has landed, these workshops are where that work begins in a real and structured way. You can access all 3 sessions inside of the writer's workshop instantly. You can binge them in an afternoon, spread them out over the course of a week, but remember that these sessions are meant to be implemented and integrated, not just consumed and put on a dusty digital shelf. The Writer's Workshop shows you how to tap into that writer's identity, how to make those macro and micro adjustments in your life to integrate writing into your life right now. And also, the Memoir Method Fall Cohort is opening up for enrollment in just a couple of weeks. This is my 8-week cohort program that takes your writing identity and it merges it with real editorial work and revisions. This is the most accessible way for me to help you with your actual story. Space in this cohort is highly limited, so if you're thinking that this is the room you want to be a part of this fall, hop on the wait list and you'll be the first to know when doors open. As we close out today's episode, remember that my intention today isn't to lower expectations for what editorial support can do. It's to both clarify what editors like me do best and also to raise your expectations and possibilities for yourself. When both of those elements are in place, your work will be extraordinary. So yes, I can see your story. I can pick it apart with you. Only you, though, can decide what's worth telling, what you want to say with your story and how you want to say it. Only you can decide to be the writer who finishes the memoir. And on that note, I will see you next week. You've just listened to an episode of the Memoir Method Podcast. The Memoir Method Podcast is presented by Charlotte Writes. If you liked what you heard, the best way to support the show is to subscribe through your preferred podcast player. And if you're feeling especially inspired, I'd love it if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Leaving a review really does help other readers and writers like yourself find the show. If you want to continue the conversation, you can find me on my website at charlottewrites.co or on Instagram at charlottejanewrites. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. And remember that you have a story that matters.